Right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone, who rule very well, very beautifully. Double salutations to the Akim I heard pushing the gospel in truth and in sincerity to the best of their ability, given to them by Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, fall upon your houses. This is Brother Quanah Watts from the Arizona Great Millstone Camp, coming back at you, Lord will, with that edifying lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Lord will, it is edifying. Lord will, it is straight to the point. And hey, here we go, man. Hey, these ICBM nuclear missiles, man, here soon are finna be used. Because as it says right here, it says Russia blames U.S. for deadly Crimea attack, or Crimea strike, right? Which not too long ago, which it mentions this in the article, right? Not too long ago, Poland, America, right, ultimately gave Ukraine the okay to use Western missiles or Western weapons, right? To strike Russia, right? And not only to strike Russia, but inside Russian territory, man. And hey, guess what? There was a strike, in Kharkov, or however you say it, man. And Russia is blaming America for that attack, right? It says Russia has blamed the United States Russia has blamed the United States after at least 4 people, including 2 children, were killed and more than 120 injured when a Ukrainian missile was shot down over a crowded beach in Crimea. Right? It says in a statement on Sunday, Russia Defense Ministry said that Washington was responsible for the Ukraine missile strike. Scroll down, right? It says the Ukrainian military launched 5 ATACMS long-range missiles armed with highly controversial cluster warheads at the Crimean Peninsula early on Sunday. Right? It says the ministry said 4 were destroyed by Russian air defenses. 1 missile was hit but veered off course and detonated over the Black Sea port city of Sevastopol. Falling fragments of its cluster munition warhead led to numerous civilian casualties, including almost 30 children. Right? It says right here, and this is a quote, it says, all the flight tasks for the ATACMS missiles are assigned by American specialists on the basis of their own U.S. satellite intelligence data, right? It says, therefore, responsibility for the deliberate missile strike on civilians in Sevastopol lies primarily with Washington, right, which supplied these weapons to Ukraine as well as the Kyiv regime from whose territory this attack was launched, right? So they're blaming Russia, right? Or Russia is blaming America, right? You have civilian casualties, man, right? So just as we see, right, happening, right, with Israel and Gaza, and they're attacking, right, the civilians, the regular people, and now you have Ukraine, right, launching missiles, right, Western missiles, right, and civilians are being struck, man. It says in 2020, in July 23, the U.S. announced that it would provide Ukraine with cluster munition. The move sparked outrage in Moscow. These weapons scattered dozens of smaller bombs when detonated. Right? It says the bomblets, usually spread over large areas, can remain unexploded for years and even decades, posing particularly high risk to densely populated areas. Right? It says the weapons are banned in more than 100 countries, including the UK, France, and Germany. However, neither the U.S., Ukraine, nor Russia signed the Convention on Cluster Munitions. Nevertheless, Moscow vowed not to use them in the conflict against Kyiv in 2023. So this is something that, hey, they're like, you know what, let's avoid these. And then here comes Ukraine, right, receiving these missiles from America and using them on Russians, man. Right? That's not going to play out very well, right? America is poking the bear, man. poking and jabbing the bear. And what do you think? What do you think this situation is going to lead to? It's going to lead to the the use of ICBM nuclear missiles, which is prophesied to happen, man. It's prophesied that these nations will ultimately shoot missiles at America, right? And let's grab that, right? That's really all we need on the article. But I do want to grab this in Jeremiah chapter 51, and we'll start at verse 9, right? It says it's Jeremiah 50 in verse 9. It says, "For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon," right? Which we know Babylon is America, right? It says, "For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country," and that north country being Russia, right? The assembly of great nations being the nations that are allied to and or doing deals and trades with Russia, as well as even some of America's allies, right? Switching over and siding with Russia, which we're already starting to see. We're already starting to see these nations bucking up against America. A lot of the European countries. This is what's taking place, and this is what's going to happen, right? It says, "And they shall set themselves in array against her," meaning Babylon. "From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain," meaning these nations are going to shoot those ICBM nuclear missiles at America, man. Again, this is prophesied. This is in the scriptures, man. And, I ultimately want to touch on this article I do have pulled up as well, right? That basically goes into, what one nuclear missile, right, could do, right? The power of one nuclear missile. It says wagingpeace.org. It says the effects of a 300 kiloton nuclear warhead detonated above Washington, D.C. And this is from November 19, 2005, But this is still relevant, right? It says if you live in a large city in the U.S., Russia, or any other nation possessing nuclear weapons, there is at least one nuclear warhead aimed at you, right, man? And especially now, there's more. Right? There's a hell of a lot more, man. You got North Korea wanting to shoot missiles at America, China wanting to do that, Iran, as well as a lot of the Muslim countries, Saudi Arabia, right? All the nations that have warheads, right? Hey, they all have, one thing in common. They don't like America, right? So you best believe America has more than just one. Right, more than just a few nuclear missiles being pointed at them, right? It says it patiently waits day and night for a computer to give it your address and send it on a 10 to 30-minute flight to incinerate you and your family. There are many thousands of strategic nuclear warheads kept constantly ready to turn the cities of the world into hurricanes of fire, Heavy, man. It says this is a brief description of the effects which a single average-sized strategic nuclear weapon would have if detonated above the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. Right? It says dozens of such weapons are probably targeted upon D.C. by Russia. And guess what? We just read an article where Russia's like, hey, what the fuck? Right? Looking at America like, okay, you're the ones to blame, man. Right? All these civilians, right? These civilian casualties, which, hey, man, right? That is what, ultimately what is trying to be avoided, right? Civilian casualties. But look, you got America, backing and giving weapons to Ukraine, which are being used on civilians. And then you got also America backing Israel, right? Which Israel is using their weapons on civilians, man. And again, all these nations are pissed off at America and Israel, man. Which is prophecy, right? Jeremiah was at 50 and 45. The least of the flock shall draw them out. Least of the flock being Israel, and those that are being drawn out are, these other nations, man, right? More specifically, as of right now, the Muslim nations, where you got Iran, a shit ton of soldiers, right, are basically ready to join Hezbollah in Lebanon and fight against Russia. Right, so you got a lot of these Muslim nations are starting to band together, man. Which again is World War III, right, coming to fruition, right? It says the warhead has an explosive power of 300 kilotons, equaling 600 million pounds of dynamite, and would be detonated at an altitude of 1,500 feet above its target. Right? It says a 300 kiloton warhead would within a millionth of a second release 300 trillion calories of energy, primarily in the form of intense light. The surrounding air will be superheated and create a rapidly expanding fireball. Almost all the air within and around the fire will be compressed into a steeply fronted luminous blast wave of enormous extent and power. It says the fireball would extend more than a mile in diameter and at its center produce temperatures over 200 million degrees Fahrenheit, about 4 to 5 times the temperature found at the center of the sun. Right? It says this unearthly release of heat and energy would create an environment of unimaginable lethality, igniting extensive fires for many tens of square miles, and produce a blast which would crush and tear apart any structures in its path. The blast wave would also increase the incidence of and rate of fire spread by exploding ignitable surfaces, releasing flammable materials, and dispersing burning objects. Right, man? Right? Think about all the gas lines and power lines, and stuff like that are under these roads. Right? When it blasts, guess what? It doesn't just, the blast doesn't stop, at surface level. No, it'll create a crater, man. It'll create a crater, and anything that's, within that area, right? Again, if it be a gas line, right, it's gonna get touched. What do you think is gonna happen, right? All that gas is gonna explode, man, creating more of a fire, right? And this is what it's going into, right? It says at the Pentagon City, a shopping and office complex 0.7 miles from ground zero at the Pentagon, light from the fireball would melt asphalt in the streets, burn paint off walls, and melt metal surfaces within half a second of detonation, right? So what we just read was a millionth of a second. That's what would happen, right? Now this is, as it says right here, right, half a second of detonation. This is what would happen, right? It says the interior of vehicles in line of sight of the fireball would explode into flames, right? It says about 1 second later, so another half second, right, from detonation, about a 1 second, right? It says the blast wave and 750 mile per hour winds would arrive and toss burning and disintegrating vehicles into the air like leaves in the wind. The blast wave would cave in buildings and would turn windows and furniture into missiles and shrapnel. Wait. We're talking about furniture, right? Imagine a big ass couch, right, being thrown at you at, let's say, 750 mile per hour winds, right? Let's say that furniture is coming at you at 200 miles per hour, man. There ain't no way you're going to be able to get away from that, man. Right? This is what one, as we read in the beginning, one average size nuclear missile is capable of doing. Right? And we understand that Russia has very, very big, very large ICBM nuclear missiles, man, that carry multiple warheads. Right? It says seconds after the passage of the blast wave, suction effects created in part by the rising fireball will reverse the winds, drawing them toward the detonation point at perhaps 50 to 70 miles per hour, right? So you got a blast, right, that's going out, about, 750 miles per hour, if not faster, because again, this is an average size ICBM nuclear missile, who knows, man? With the larger ones, it could be 1,000 miles per hour, 1,500 miles per hour winds. Right? Couches being thrown at 800-900 miles an hour, 1,200 miles an hour, and then what? There's a reverse, right? It's like a suction, as it says, for the average size missile, 50 to 70 miles per hour, right? So not only is that couch being thrown, hey, but guess what? It's being reeled back in too, man. It says all the areas within 1.3 miles of the Pentagon, almost all the Arlington National Cemetery. And again, this is just giving you landmarks, right? This is an example, right? Most of the Virginia Highlands and Addison Heights neighborhoods and parts of Washington, D.C., reaching to the Lincoln and Jefferson memorials, would experience more than 15 times the thermal energy found at the edge of the mass fireball It's like at the edge of the mass fire which destroyed Hiroshima, right? So we're talking about this is going to be that thermal energy is going to be 15 times Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? It says the fireball here would, for a moment, shine 5,000 times brighter than a desert sun at noon. You know, and for those that have, you know, that have been in the desert, right, and have, you know, Arizona, Nevada, you know, New Mexico, you know, so on and so forth, you know that sun is bright and it burns, man, right? It says grass, vegetation, and leaves on trees would explode into flames, and the surface of the ground would explode into superheated dust. Flames and black smoke would spew out from all combustible materials illuminated by the fireball. The marble of the Lincoln and Jefferson Memorial would crack, pop, and possibly evaporate, right, like it's water, right? Evaporate like it's water, right? It says the light would melt the surface of the bronze statue of Jefferson. Birds in flight would drop from the sky in flame. They would just they would disintegrate as well, right? It says people exposed to the light would be instantly cremated. Wow, man. Instantly cremated, man. Meaning you turn to fucking dust. Right? For those, you know, have had a loved one that was, you know, that ultimately passed away and they got cremated, what happened, man? They were turned literally into ash. Literally turned into ash, man. They were thrown in a box, you know, and thrown in an oven, and flames would, you know, disintegrate them. And it would take a good process, right, to do all that, you know. But this is talking about, hey, man, would instantly, right, within seconds, man, of being exposed to this detonation of this average size ICBM nuclear missile, you would be turned into straight ash, man. No wait time, right? It says 4 seconds later, right? We're talking about 4 seconds after the detonation, right? 4 seconds later, the blast wave would arrive and collapse the Jefferson and Lincoln Memorial. This will be followed by winds of 300 to 400 miles per hour, which combining with the blast wave would completely destroy wood. All right, Salakia, man. I had a brother called me, man. But I'll get back to the top of this paragraph, right? It says 4 seconds later, the blast wave would arrive and collapse the Jefferson and Lincoln Memorial. This will be followed by winds of 300 to 400 miles per hour, which combining with the blast wave would completely destroy wood frame and residential brick buildings, right? Aluminum surfaces on the aircraft at the Reagan National Airport would melt and warp. Interior sections of the airport exposed to the fireball would burst into flame, right? What the hell? It says, tires on the aircraft and any nearby vehicles would also catch fire, right? So everything will be completely destroyed, man, right? Which again, it's prophesied, right, that this is what's going to happen, right? Which we're going to grab it after I read this next paragraph, right? It says within 3 miles of ground zero, the clothing worn by people in direct line of sight of the fireball would burst into flames or melt, right? So the areas of skin not covered by clothing would be scorched, charring flesh and causing third-degree burns, right? It says for many miles in all directions, any creature unfortunate enough to look into the fireball at the time of detonation would either be blinded or suffer permanent retinal damage, man. Right? So these ICBM nuclear missiles, man, ain't no joke, man. Right? And we're in the time where these ICBM nuclear missiles are going to be used, man. Again, it's prophesied that this would take place, right? Let's go to 2 Peter chapter 3, and we'll start at verse 10. It says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, right? When you least expect it, man. Right? The average person, man, is not paying attention to anything that's going on in the news or any of these alternative news sites, man. You know, these people got their heads in their phones, right? And focus on the wrong thing, as it says, right? As it was in the time of Noah, so shall it be in the, roughly paraphrasing. Let's go ahead and grab that real quick. I don't want to butcher it. Matthew 24, 37 is what it is, right? Right. It says, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be, right? It says, for as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. That's right, man. Right? And this time it's not going to be, by by water, right? It's going to be by fire, by flames, right? A flood of fire that's going to come through. Scriptures talk about 200,000, right? 200,000 nuclear missiles, or really 200 million nuclear warheads are going to hit America, man. 200,000, man. So let's go back. 2 Peter 3, right? And verse 10, it's lucky for the wind, right? It says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. And how is that going to happen? Again, by way of ICBM nuclear missiles, right? All that fire, right? That heat, right? We're talking about the center of that blast going to be 200 million, right? 200 to 300 million degrees Fahrenheit, man. 4 to 5 times hotter than the center of the sun. That's going to melt everything, man. And we just read, right? To a certain degree, what that's going to look like, man. Which again, we've never seen it, right? But hey, man, just reading it, right? You can ultimately envision that, right? You paint that picture in your mind, right? And also they've painted that picture in movies, man, right? Dealing with Terminator, right? With Sarah Connor, where she was holding onto that fence and that nuclear missile went off in the middle of the city, right? Her flesh and her her bones, right, were basically disintegrated, right? Which is Zechariah 14 and 12, man. Your eyes shall consume in their holes, right? Your tongue shall consume in your mouth, roughly paraphrasing. That's what this is talking about, man. All the elements shall melt with fervent heat, right? It says, the earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Cars, houses, right? Your clothing, everything. We just read that, right? We just read, again, what an average size ICBM nuclear missile is going to do, right? Imagine, right, the Saramot 2 missile, right? The largest nuclear missile created, right? Which is the Russian missile, right? The Saramot 2, right? You got America in the works of creating a whole new nuke, man, of their own, which we have yet to see, how big that would be, right? And the effects of it, right? How fast it's going to go, But again, Russia holds the largest ICBM nuclear missile to date, It says, seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of person ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, right? Where are you at, man? Are you meditating on the things of the world? Are you meditating on the scriptures, right? Scriptures talk about meditating on the word of the Lord, right? Continually, right? Day and night, right? Are you meditating on how you can get a bag? Or are you meditating on how you can, keep the law, statutes, commandments to the best of your ability, man? Where's your mindset at, man? Scriptures also say in Matthew the 6th chapter, man, right? Wherever your treasure is, there will your heart be also, man. So if you find value in the words of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, hey, well, guess what? That's where your mind is going to be at, man. Trying to follow after righteousness. But if your mind is stuck on this world, right, and how you can, be rich and become famous and all this other shit, well, guess what, man? You're going to be the ones that partake in this destruction, man. Right? You're going to be the ones that have the charred skin and the clothes, basically melting off of you, bursting into flames, 3rd-degree burns, blind, which, hey, man, the Lord said that there's going to be 200 million nuclear warheads that's going to hit America. Hey, well, guess what, man? You ain't going to be charred. You're just going to be disintegrated, man. Instant cremation, But see, that's the beauty of it, man. Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua has the power to slow down the deterioration of your cells, So it means you're going to feel every moment of it. It's not going to be an instant death, man. And that's just me, ultimately speculating, Hey, the Lord can do it. The Lord can have it to where it's instant, right? Or the Lord can slow it down, man. However the Lord wants it to be, man. I don't necessarily know, exactly how it's going to happen. But, hey, that's not too far-fetched, man. Scriptures say that that they shall know after death by pain, man. Right? And instant death really ain't a painful death, man. So, hey, very well, the Lord could slow that down, man. To where now you're feeling every moment of it, man. Every cell in your body is being burned, scorched, from the outside in, until you're dead. Right? This is why you have to This is why you got to be getting into the scriptures, man. Scriptures say it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power, man. You know, that's not something that, you know, you should want, man. You should ultimately want to find out what you can do to avoid that, right? And that's keeping the law, statutes, commandments to the best of your ability, following after Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, being in this gospel, this truth, man. Part of the sheepfold. That's how you gonna make it through, man. Lord, will you be part of the elect? You know, because the Lord ain't playing, man. The Lord ain't playing with nobody, man. You know, Lord ain't playing with nobody, man. You know, but I don't want to make this too long, man. You know, I know my battery's kind of low on my phone. Hey, Lord will, you know, I can come back with another lesson, man. You know, but yeah, man. This nuclear hellfire that's coming, man, ain't no joke, man. You know, we understand, right? We understand. You gotta state it, man. You know, when we were talking about the ICBM nuclear missiles, we understand that before World War III can pop off to where ICBM nuclear missiles are being used, Jacob's trouble has to pop off first. You know. Hey, we're in the time where both major prophecies are going to come to pass, man. So, hey, man, keep your head on the swivel. Right? Scripture say the end of all things is at hand, man. So be sober and watching the prayer, man. So keep your head on, spiritual eyes up, spiritual head on the swivel, man, and keep praying, man. We're almost out of here. So with that, I want to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash, double honors to the elder apostles, elder bishops, the great millstone. Until next time, I say shalom.